Let's revisit for a moment a debate we had a couple of weeks ago. Casey Luskin was with us with the Discovery Institute, discovery.org, an organization that's promoting the concept of intelligent design and making sure that it's in the textbooks for our children. And Casey feels like I treated him unfairly in the discussion. So, Casey, welcome back.
It's really kind of you to have me back on, Tom.
Thank you. And I should just say, you are an attorney. You are the program officer in public policy and legal affairs at the Discovery Institute and co-founder of the Intelligent Design and Evolution Awareness, IDEA Center. And the website or the Twitter is at DiscoveryCSC. And the website, discovery.org. So, make your case.
Well, first of all, you made a point there that Discovery Institute is trying to push intelligent design into textbooks. And actually, Discovery Institute has long opposed mandating the teaching of intelligent design in public schools. But I think I'd rather focus on a scientific discussion today. Our position is that there are various scientific problems that are discussed in the technical literature with neo-Darwinian evolution, and these sorts of scientific weaknesses should be taught in public schools. We also think, however, that there is a compelling scientific case for intelligent design. The last 4 to 5 decades of research in biology have shown that life is based upon a vast amount of encoded information in our DNA in a biochemical language, a computer-like system of commands and codes that processes that information in order to produce molecular machines and multi-machine systems. But where in our experience do things like language and encoded information, programming code, and molecular machines come from? In our experience, they have only one known source, and that's intelligence. So this is sort of a positive, scientifically based argument for intelligent design. It's not based upon religion. It's not based upon merely, trying to critique Darwinian evolution. It's a positive argument for intelligent design that uses the scientific method and is based upon our knowledge of where information comes from. So, I could go on and on, but, there's a lot of scientific problems with Darwinian evolution that are discussed in the peer-reviewed literature. We can talk about the failure of evolutionary biology to provide explanations for the origin of complex features.
Actually, no, we can't. We can, but it doesn't fail to do that. And A, and B, right now there's a debate about what electricity is. Does that mean we should not be teaching electronics? That we should be teaching our kids that there are some questions about electronics. Maybe you shouldn't use transistors.
Well, I think when you see scientists debating core aspects of Darwinian evolution, there's no reason you should be withholding those from students.
There is no aspect of science that's not in continuous debate or at least continuous discussion. That's not the Casey. That's not the point. The point. Are you familiar with 2,4-dinitrotoluene, 2,4-DNT?
I am not.
I assumed you would be. Burkholderia cepacia, the bacteria.
I know a lot about bacteria. I don't know every single bacterial species, so that name does not ring a bell.
Okay, well, where
are you getting at here?
In the 1930s, we humans synthesized this stuff called 2,4-dinitrotoluene, or 2,4-DNT. It is the basis not only of nitroglycerin, but it's also the basis of all of our modern polymers, nylons, and other products like that. There should be no bacteria that can eat this stuff because there was no intelligent designer back then. But all of a sudden, Burkholderia cepacia of R34, a bacteria, mutated the creation of an enzyme that allows it to actually eat this. In fact, its sole source, this bacteria's sole source of carbon, energy, and nitrogen is 2,4-dinitrotoluene. It is a classic case of evolution happening in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this example, and it actually is broken down using a pre-existing metabolic pathway that was already in bacteria. That's my point.
The core argument.
I'm not saying Darwinian evolution can't do anything.
The core argument,
that it can't do everything.
But that's my point, Casey. The core argument of intelligent design is that there's this thing called irreducible complexity. In other words, at some point, you reach the point where if you were to break this thing apart into its component pieces, they couldn't have just come together accidentally. And the main example that you guys use is, for example, the bacterial flagellum, which is like there's a gear inside the bacteria that is spinning this tail that comes out and allows it to move. Gives it motility. And yet, it's made out of 50 proteins. And intelligent design advocates have been promoting this thing for years and years and years. Look at how complex this is. This couldn't have just come out of nowhere. If you take 40 of those proteins out, if you pull 40 of those proteins out and you get rid of the tail, what you're left with is the hole in the wall of the cell, the 10 proteins that make up that hole in the wall of the cell, which, surprise, surprise, turns out to be what we call a type 3 secretory system. It secretes poisons that are produced by specifically the bubonic plague bacteria, but many others as well. In other words, this is part of an original evolutionary adaptation. There is no such thing as irreducible complexity.
Okay, well, let me respond to that, Tom, and I'm impressed that you have gotten some scientific arguments here. The type 3 secretory system objection is a long-known objection that ID proponents have been rebutting for years. Basically, what it's saying is that this is what essentially you're saying, that if my laptop's power cord can also be used to power my toaster, then there's not an irreducibly complex core of parts that my laptop needs to function.
No, I'm talking about living things. Laptops don't evolve,
Casey. You don't test irreducible complexity by saying if one subpart can fulfill another function, then therefore it's not irreducibly complex. What you do is you have to find a step-by-step Darwinian pathway, and there is none for the flagellum. In fact, the type 3 secretory system cannot serve as a precursor to the flagellum, because when you look at the tree, the bacterial tree, the phylogenetic tree, they arise very late in the history of bacteria, whereas flagella are distributed throughout nearly all types of gram-negative bacteria, and as a result, it must have arisen very early.
Casey, you're taking me back to my original argument that what you guys are overlooking is what I call punctuated evolution. Actually, Stephen Jay Gould called it what? Punctuated something.
Punctuated equilibrium.
Equilibrium. Yeah. Thank you very much.
We can talk about it. Sure, I'd love to talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Well, that's the essence of it. Just because you can't find the missing link doesn't mean that there's not a link. What it means is that link occurred over a very short period of time, evolutionarily speaking,
sure.
And there's no record of it. There's no trace of it. None of this mandates some wise old man in the sky who is saying, "Oh, gee, I think I'm going to put a flagellum, a tail on this particular bacteria and allow to give it the ability to move."
Well, I'm not talking about old men in the sky. What I'm talking about here is the fact that when you look at the fossil record, you do see a widespread pattern that new major biological forms appear without evolutionary precursors. Now, Gould did propose this theory that transitions occurred so quickly, so rapidly, and in small populations that the transitional forms just didn't get fossilized. Well, there's a problem with that. The problem is that it requires too much genetic change too quickly. And biologists have not been able to elucidate a genetic mechanism.
No, I think the Burkholdia cepacia is the
basic problem with punk eek.
The Burkholdia cepacia is the perfect example of that. Here you've got a bacteria whose sole source of food and energy is a polymer that was invented in 1932.
We're talking about a bacteria that used a pre-existing enzymatic pathway and only slightly modified it. This is not a change in body plan. And when we're looking at the fossil record, like in the Cambrian explosion, we see the abrupt appearance of dozens of complex body plans that would require, literally thousands of new proteins to arise, and there's no evolutionary record of a step-by-step Darwinian evolution. So this is a real problem.
Which doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Theory.
But it doesn't mean it didn't happen, Casey. You have to acknowledge that.
I'm not saying that it's impossible to happen. I'm saying we have to look at the evidence, and I'm just citing evidence. We can debate it either way. I'm not saying I'm not open to it. I'm just saying when I look at the evidence for Darwinian evolution is there. Right. I've got a videotape that has leprechauns on it, but they're so
it's
small,
not a living thing.
Fast, but you can't see them.
Casey,
and this is what Pontique is saying.
Casey, it's not a living thing. I rest my case. Casey Luskin, attorney, program officer in public policy and legal affairs, Discovery Institute, discovery.org. Casey, always good debating, whatever it is we're doing here, talking with you. Thank you for dropping by.
Thanks for having me, Tom. Thank you so much.
Bye now.